Hi there! Could you imagine a world where you did not make those one horrible game a tournament or once in a while? This is what this video today is about. It's getting rid of the dreaded C game. We know we don't always play our A game, but if we could just get rid of that C game, we would do much better. And the method for doing that is to make your C game your B game and so on, if that made sense anyway. So we're going to discuss a player that has suffered from what I will call fancy player syndrome. It's a term known from poker, and it means making unnecessary flashy moves instead of just doing what's best and correct. And Richard Rapport was always a very talented player who has a lot of chess sense, a lot of feeling for dynamics and so on, but he loved playing unorthodox openings. He loved to make the opponent look like a fool and so on. So he was playing to please his ego, which is a bad thing. Your ego is not your friend, it's your enemy. It makes you do stupid stuff. So not get rid of it, but make it less important in your decision. Your ego should tell you where you should go, not how to get there. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Werner principle. I think I read about it in Annie Duke's book about bets. It's about sizing of bets and so on. Anyway, the Werner principle is a story about some people going up a mountain, and they're going up the mountain, and they had to get there all together. So they go up the mountain, and Werner is the slowest climber. So that's why it's called the Werner principle. And so they, what to do about this? We are going very slowly up the mountain, and we are not finished until Werner gets there as the last person. Okay, one thing could be to put Werner in the front. Then he will start, and he will of course get as fast as he can. And that would be a little bit better than putting him in the back, but still not very efficient. Another thing is just to kill Werner, if that's possible. Just get rid of him. Off you go. Jump off the cliff, and we don't have Werner anymore. And we can, but that's not always possible. For instance, if you're trying to get rid of, if you're very bad at endings, and you say, okay, Werner is my endgame, so I'm just gonna kill endgame. I'm not gonna go into endings ever. And opponents will catch on to that and force you into endings. So just getting rid of Werner is possible sometimes. For instance, Kasparov made a principle out of never having to defend passive positions patiently, because he was really bad at that. So he never ever got into this position if at all possible. Another thing that's probably smarter is to make Werner go faster. And that is, for instance, if you're very bad at endings, improve your endgame play. And for Richard Rapport, who just won the Belgrade knockout FIDE Grandprix tournament by beating Dmitry Andreikin in the final, he has gotten rid of his fancy player syndrome. Well, not completely, but almost. He's not doing really ridiculous stuff anymore, and he's not playing to please his ego, and he is actually playing to make good results, and he is getting results. He's number 7 in the world. We're going to see the final game where he wins against Andreikin, and this is the Queen's Gambit and A3, and that's somewhat ridiculous, but it's probably not bad. So he's taking the opponent out of the book by making a move that could be important in some situations. I don't know which at the moment, but for instance, I don't see but h6 makes a lot of sense. It's a smart move. The idea, of course, if you goes bishop d6, you can take on d5. So there are some tricks with the knight is hanging, and and so on, and maybe with e4 also. Anyway, it's not a completely ridiculous move, but h6 makes a lot of sense. Bishop f4, knight f6, e3, and here we go c5 to punish the a6. I would probably think you should go something like bishop d6 here. This move makes a sense to me, and I think black equalizes here. Maybe the idea is to go something like this. That could be very Richard Rapport-like. Playing a little bit unorthodox, but not badly. Seems to be his approach to the game, and I think he also decided to try and win, just win, not having to win in a special way, which is a problem for a lot of players, that they want to win in fantastic way, kill people in kingside attack, and then so you lose a pawn in the something like King's Gambit 10 times, and you mate them 3 times, but you lose the other 9 games or 7 games or something, so you will overall have bad results. Well, you could think of a guy like Simon Williams, for instance. He really wants to attack. Of course, he's a very gifted attacker, but it's just too one-sided trying to attack all the time. I think if he started to improve other areas of his game, improving his I think maybe it's not Werner, maybe it was Herbert actually. I think I messed it up. So it's a Herbert principle. Sorry about that. I'm not gonna retake the video. Anyway, so he plays c5. So black is already getting very ambitious, saying a3 is not a great move, and bishop e5, and that's also not a bad move. And it makes some sense in this situation, but it's also very typically Richard Rapport. He wants to create an early mess, and the idea is to go here and put this one here, trying to really put pressure on black's position. And it looks strange, but it seems to be fine actually. And a3 is very helpful in a lot of lines here. And I think, I don't know, I think black is white is probably already a little bit better, even though he's playing unorthodox chess. But okay, this makes a lot of sense. Bishop d6, just developing, and he did get the bishop pair on the way. d3, rook c8. That's a little bit annoying for white, because the idea was of course to go bishop d2, and but then rook c4 is probably annoying. So he played rook d1 first, and then after queen a5, he really had to reconsider and played rook c1. So that was definitely not the idea behind this. So black must be okay here, but still it's an interesting position. Castle and take, and that he was still probably just waiting for that to castle and take, and bishop h3. So, and this is the strength of Rapport, is he is playing unorthodox but very strong move, and he always have an idea, and he has kept onto that, but also gotten rid of the most the thing that messed his game up, because he was just too eager to play weird moves. And so fancy player syndrome no more, and now he's number 7 in the world. Castle, rook c4, and these kind of positions, black is probably okay, but the thing is, it's very difficult to play these positions. It's not so easy to actually deploy your pieces correctly with black. And if something falls with this kind of structure here and here and here and here, where you have like 3 pawn islands with connected up 2 pawns, then it really is going to be a horrible structure, while white's structure is much more coherent. But black is active, and by the way, I like this move, king f7. It shows great understanding that the f-file is not going to be an issue anyway, so I'm going to use the king to defend the pawn, where it's really a good move. It's really, and by the way, Andreikin is this generation from 1990, like Carlsen and the now not so popular kayaking and so on, and also I think there are more players from that generation. Nepomniachtchi is also from that generation, and Vasily Graf. It's a fantastic generation, 92. And so that shows why the king was needed, and I think black is probably okay here. b4, the pawn was hanging. Queen a4, knight f4. Great little move, getting ready to attack here, and the knight was not doing any much, and black was ready to get a nice ending with queen c2, but he's just not in time. And of course, he takes with the e pawn. And this structure here is, of course, if it was a pawn ending, then I would say black was happy with the d pawn. But in the middle game, the open file here is more of a problem for black, and this actually makes white's structure pretty solid. Queen c2, overprotecting the pawn and getting ready to play rook c1, knight c6, and knight e4. And of course Andreikin is also looking to see if he has any chances. By the way, he has also got some problems with this fancy player syndrome. Then he does not like the theory, so he has not done the work, and that's actually a problem for him in when playing against guys like for instance Caruana and so on, that he's just behind in the theoretical race. f3. So here Rapport is playing hard for a win, push the knight away, and of course the idea for black was to stay active, and with f3 white's king can also get into some trouble. Rook c4, and a draw could mean a sort of playoff, but no playoff here. And here, by the way, this shows why Rapport is such a talented, strong player. Queen e5 looks, when you look at it, it looks very dangerous, because after this move, nasty thing could happen here. There's a really unpleasant check here, and so on. And there's a, yeah, I would be a little bit nervous here as white, but the idea was always this move, f5, opening for the bishop, getting ready for the attack. And the computer thinks queen b6 first is a draw, but this also says this is a draw. And f takes. And here black has to find a really difficult move, and he does not manage to. And I think Rapport knew that this position was probably a draw, but he could see that he had at least a draw, and sometimes he could win this. The thing is, black should play king e7 here, and looks indeed crazy to go queen e7, because now white can take this with check. But the thing is, the king can run away from the e pawn, and here it's not clear. Like something like no, that's not probably bad. Something like I think the mean line is something like this: check and e7, and here white is actually threatening to mate in one with queen d8 and queen c8 and e8 and so on. But there's a check, and the problem for white is that it's a perpetual check. There's no way out of it. So after this, here, and maybe just this move is the easiest way to do it. And this is a perpetual take, because the queen cannot intervene. And after this, something like this, you can go wherever you like. Doesn't matter. The only thing that's important is when the king is on g1, you give the check on e3. So the bishop has no chance of getting in between. here like this. So this is, you could look it up yourself, this is a draw. So this was something he should see, Andreikin. He did not see it, and he played this move, which is so natural to play. It's just so natural to play king e8 here, not allowing this with check. But the problem is the king is just so much worse on here. So even with a tempo up, it's a big problem because there's this huge threat here. Check and getting a queen with check. So, and here it's already a big problem. Queen b6, king takes f1, check. And he tries the same. The problem here is that the queen is on this diagonal, and it will come to the rescue. And here is now where we have the problem. Next, you cannot both control this square and give a check, which you need. So if you give a check somewhere like here, you would love to have this check, but you don't. So after this, something like this, the queen come back and it's winning. There's no perpetual check at all. And he saw that, and he gave a check on f1, which is just hopeless. And bishop takes f1. So, to sum it up, Richard Rapport was a big talent, but was sort of simmering around 2700, and then decided to get rid of his fancy player syndrome and start playing more normal opening. And he probably worked a little bit on his game as well, and is now number 7 in the world. Can he be world champion? I don't think so. There's still something missing, and he does the intuition of Carlsen is simply too frightening for most players. They will I think it was Gormley who said that it seems like these guys, Nepomniachtchi, Caruana, they can match Carlsen for a little period of time, but it takes so much energy, and then they just run dry at some point. Anyway, lobbing off the C game, getting rid of your worst part of your game, is the single best thing you can do to improve in chess. Because if you no longer make the very, very big mistakes, you will have much better results. So this is a trick. So the next thing is, of course, well, with Rapport, it was easy to see what was the fancy player syndrome. That he's just playing really weird openings, trying to confuse the opponent and so on. But it can be more difficult if you, for instance, like me, I'm 50 years old. I've been playing chess for a long time, playing rather solid and nice chess. So what is my C game? That's probably harder to see, even though I probably have a good idea of what the C game is. It can be difficult, and also you probably have some biases, so you can't see it. Anyway, it was not the Werner, it was the Herbert principle, and you can read about it in Annie Duke's book about bets, which I recommend highly. I have a past in poker. I played poker professionally online for more than 5 years, and it actually improved my chess a lot, because you stop being so ego driven and can focus more on just getting good results instead of trying to impress people who will not be impressed anyway. And why are you trying to impress them? That's the big question. Anyways, this was GM Talks. Thank you for watching.